Hello guys, episode 3, and episode 3 is today the Puma. And if you followed me all this year, or all 2021, you would have known that I had many encounters with the Pumas. The first was very early on. I was probably within 3 weeks. I came face to face with my first Pumas I'd ever seen in my life in the physical form. It is so hard to see any big cat, as anyone will tell you. In the Amazon, it's a very rare situation, but I literally walked around the corner to two, and it was an incredible experience. They're very young, juveniles, making their own way in life, and I just was walking around the corner. I did leave early with the hope I would. Like there's a certain time that if you walk, there's certain times in the day if you walk that you're more likely to bump into animals. And I think I'd set off just before 7, and I walked around the corner to two of them. The luckiest thing for me is the biggest one ran into the bush, and the small one, the female, ran towards me and stopped. I was filming on the GoPro at the time. So the first reaction was just, when I saw them before they'd seen me, I just hit the GoPro, hit the button, and went to record. And I watched and wait. I didn't know what to do, to be honest. I thought, well, maybe they'll run away. Let's just see. Let's hit the record button. So I did so. Like I said, one ran away when it saw me. They were side by side on the track, and then the other ran towards me, the female, and she stopped. And it was a standoff. And it was probably be 40 meters, if that, and she kind of snarled, showed me her teeth very quickly, and then was looking behind, looking for her partner. I could see that she wasn't gonna come at me. She'd stopped, obviously. She was inquisitive, definitely inquisitive is the right word. So that's when I got my binoculars out. I felt I was in a safe position to get the binoculars out, and so I set it up and put the GoPro up so you could get a better look on the camera. The thing with the GoPro, it's not very good. It always seems much further away on the GoPro because the actual camera's set quite far back. So for me it was very close. It was close enough, I got the binoculars out, and it was that when I was watching through the binoculars for you guys, when I saw her rolling her paws like she was about to go for a sprint. It was like a 100-meter sprinter, warming up in the blocks. So I thought, hang on a second. And then when she took her first couple of steps, I realised that this wasn't going to go my way, and this was just going to be a film, and she was going to stroll away. She is a predator, very inquisitive, young as well. So she wanted to She wanted to come and say hello. So it was that point where I thought, well, I better hit the camera in case something bad happens. I don't want any bad publicity of this animal. I'm in her space. And I hit the camera, and then I looked for the nearest tree behind me. I was banging on the tree with my machete. I was waving with my tripod that I had attached. And yeah, it wasn't until I realized that I was walking backwards as well, trying to keep, you know, her in my eyesight. But I realized it was going to take me forever to get home. I was at least half an hour down the trail at a good pace. So it was that point that I turned and began to walk, but with my head facing backwards, that she shot into the bush and followed me through the jungle. I think she must have followed me, I know, for at least 15-20 minutes, because around about the halfway mark she'd scared a corchia. This corchia just picked up and made this call, like a scare call that it often does when it sees us, and I knew at that point she was still following, because it would have been strange for a corchia to make that noise if it wasn't in front of me. So I made it home quite clearly, safely, soundly. And it was that point that my friends, when I got back, told me just how lucky I was just to see one, let alone two. I mean, yeah, it really hit home that where I was, and it really kind of stemmed the channel. Then that was probably the takeoff point. I realized after that and the red and emerald tree boa snake I found, I really thought, right, this is gonna make some good content. So yeah, it kind of spiraled from that. The next encounter I came across was later on in the year, around about August. I think it was an actual puma sleeping in the track, but this time they were a lot bigger. It was a big male. Actually, the big male that you see in the camera traps towards the end. He was just asleep. When I was walking up, I realized that there was something strange in the track. It was catching the light, the sunlight was on it, and it was white. And I thought, hang on a second, that doesn't look right. I was looking at it for monkeys at the time, and I reckon I was within 30 meters. I was closer than the juvenile encounter, and it was that. I was looking, and that doesn't look right. And I thought, oh, maybe a deer's been taken. You know, maybe a deer's been killed, and it's just its body there. But when I had a closer look, I could see paws. That's when I realized what it was. And then you can see from the camera, I was too close. I had to get back, just in case I scared it. And in doing so, just turning, just the sound of my footprints changed quite quickly. The puma took off and ran. So within that time, if it wanted to attack me, it could have easily been on top of me in that time. As I turn with the camera, you can just see it running down the track. So 2 encounters, very, very rare, very, very lucky, and amazing. And the camera footage we caught, we began to understand, also through the tracking as well. I did a lot of tracking up and down that track, so I was always looking for paw prints, etc. So I do know at that time there was a much bigger puma in the area at the start. I found very big prints. So the mother of those, or at least that female, was in the region much earlier on. So yeah, we had a really amazing time with the pumas. I also had one when I was checking cameras where I got ran at by 2 big animals in the bush that stopped. I never saw what they were. There was 2 and they just ran, and then they stopped in the bush. It was kind of like a standoff. I couldn't see what was going on. One was much further down, and then one came out, and you could just see the white of it. So I made the assumption potentially it could have been those 2 as well. So we'll never know. But I think the last camera footage that we caught, you could actually see from the camera traps, I've put them in order, you can see how the female grows. The female's a very orange colour, and the male's much darker, much older as well. You can see how she grows from the first encounter. That's the first video I caught of her, and then slowly we began to catch her on the camera traps until the very end, where she's in mating season, and that big male is following her down the track. Now that video there, I was literally 3 minutes, 3 minutes away, well, less than 3 minutes away, I believe. I was literally down the hill from them, and I was walking up. How we didn't meet, the reason I say it was within 3 minutes because that the time of that video being caught and me opening the camera and checking it, there was literally less than 3 minutes. So that's how close I was to them on numerous occasions. Um, that's the thing when you're in the jungle. You always feel like you're being watched because potentially you are. There's so much around you. There's so many animals that you cannot see, and pumas are one of them. But as you can see, the big adults didn't bother me in the slightest. The youth, the juvenile, she just didn't want to. She didn't really know what I was, and I think that's what made her inquisitive. I didn't find her aggressive. It was more inquisitive. But it's a wild animal at the end of the day, and you have to respect that and keep your distance. So I wouldn't want any bad news, to come to that puma, and that was the reason I cut the camera in case of that. Absolutely stunning animal, by far my favourite experiences from this whole experience, this whole year, should I say, of 2021. And yeah, like I said, the reason I started this educational channel was because of that puma encounter. So you can thank her. Guys, look, I really hope you've enjoyed the stories. There's going to be more in 2022 as well, I'm sure. So episode 3 was the puma. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.
Ah. No, 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 Kevin. Mina dua. Spita. Mina dua, spita. Bakao! Ah! Hede var hider, hede. Hamar gimana? Ba tigri apuru pisara. Ini de mana jaman. Banana.